enable local entrepreneurs by working with them and optimizing their manufacturing and production process, whereby it becomes easy to market and scale. Here, in our Let's Sit channel, we collaborate with various personalities who have something very unique to share.
It's showing waiting
Today,
already.
being our first live event, we are happy to introduce functional medicine. We are going to be joined by two personalities based out of Bangalore, Mr. Siddharth and Dr. Ruhi Agarwal. So, what is functional medicine? Let's just watch a quick introduction.
Next.
Hi, my name is Siddharth and I'm a functional medicine practitioner. You know what is the most common question I get asked? The question is, what is functional medicine? So let's try to answer this today. Functional medicine is a systems-based approach looking at the fundamental underlying causes of clinical symptoms. It uses the systems approach to understand the reasons why chronic ailments are happening. It is not the approach of what, but of why. It treats the whole system and not just the symptoms. Now let me try to simplify this. Very simply put, in functional medicine, our entire focus is on trying to understand why something is going on with a particular person. This is in stark contrast to the conventional approach, where the focus is basically on just diagnosing the disease and then most of the time treating it with medicines, which we know always have side effects. In functional medicine, on the other hand, we want to understand why those symptoms are appearing. Because only if we understand the real reasons behind the symptoms can we hope to reverse them. Now let us try to understand with a simple example. Let's say cholesterol. Generally, if a person is diagnosed with elevated cholesterol markers, like your LDL and triglycerides are elevated, maybe total cholesterol is also elevated, and HDL has come down. Generally, this person is treated with cholesterol lowering drugs. In functional medicine, on the other hand, as I just said earlier, the entire focus is on understanding why a particular symptom is appearing. So, we will try to answer the question, why is cholesterol getting imbalanced like this? So, cholesterol can get imbalanced because of a variety of reasons. One common cause is known as metabolic syndrome, which is characterized by insulin resistance. Now, one might ask, what is insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is simply the process where this hormone insulin is not able to do its job efficiently. What is the job in this case? In this case, the job is to move the glucose from the bloodstream into the cells. It works like a key which opens the door so that the glucose can enter the cells. Now, obviously, the next question becomes, why does insulin resistance develop? Once again, there are many reasons. The most common reasons are an imbalanced diet, stress, certain nutritional deficiencies, and very low physical activity. These are the most common 3-4 reasons. So now the solution becomes apparent, right? What do I do if I have cholesterol imbalance? First, I improve my diet, make it more balanced, move away from refined stuff to natural whole grains, etc. and create a balance between carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Generally, our diets are too high in refined carbs and too little in healthy fats and good protein. Increase the physical activity. Work on staying relaxed and not be stressed out about small things all the time. Staying relaxed and joyful. And also if there are nutritional deficiencies like vitamin D, vitamin B12, etc., which have become very, very common today, ensuring that those are taken care of. Within a short period of a few weeks, any number of people have seen that these simple interventions can either reduce or sometimes even completely eliminate the requirement for any kind of statin or cholesterol lowering drugs. This is the beautiful result of following the functional medicine approach. I look forward to seeing you again soon with some more interesting videos. Bye-bye.
Ruhi, now you are online. आप अपने फ़ोन पे वो खोल के रख लो YouTube का लिंक so you can see what's happening. Ready? So, slides भी अपने को डालना होगा. The slides. As a PowerPoint and what is this? Hello everyone, I hope you can see and hear me. I'm sorry we've been having some technical issues with the live casting today. You can let us know in the chat if you're able to see and hear me. It's a note link. I'm seeing it. And she's sharing. She's out. Are you able to see the slides? If somebody can put it in the chat, please. Okay, apologies for that. We're just trying to figure out why the slides are not showing up. Please bear with us for a minute or two. It should be up on your screen in a moment now. Can you do full screen? Need to control this. So now it's do full screen. This button. Okay, we have gone full screen. I hope this works. There's a little bit of a lag between what I'm seeing here on my screen and what's happening on YouTube. So Okay, so wonderful. I hope at least some of the slide is visible on all of your screens on the YouTube live link. Welcome to today's live webinar about reversing PCOS, thyroid and diabetes. I am joined by my wonderful partner, Dr. Ruhi Agarwala. I hope you can see her as well. I guess while we are sharing the screen on this, you may not be able to see our videos, but we'll get to that shortly. So both of us are functional medicine practitioners. Dr. Ruhi is a MBBS as well as a MSc in global health. And after a few years of working in global health, she actually decided to move to functional medicine. She is the founder of the Functional Medicine Clinic along with me. She is also co-founded the Hormone Reset Program. I am a health coach, functional medicine practitioner, educator. I've been practicing yoga for almost 20 years now. So, with that little bit of a introduction about us, let's dive into the actual session. So this session is essentially about chronic ailments, right? This data, some of it may not be really recent because in India it is not easy to come by very recent data. A few years back, experts did some estimations and they said there are more than 77 million diabetics in India. The number of people who are pre-diabetic is probably bigger than this, and the number of people who are not even being diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, but diabetes has started building up, it's like under the radar, is probably even bigger. If you look at women, 1 out of 4 or 5 women in the reproductive age group are struggling with PCOS, PMS related symptoms. 1 in 3 people have a heart hypertension issue, and 1 out of 10 have hypothyroidism or other autoimmune conditions, right? Become very common today. And once again, a lot of it is actually not even diagnosed properly. In addition to that, a lot of people are also struggling with gut issues, digestive issues. Now, all of these might sound like very different, disconnected health issues to, most people, but they're all connected, okay? The connections fundamentally are poor gut health, high inflammation and metabolic syndrome. So let's look at a few common myths actually. For women, this is something that they're made to believe. Period pain, cramps, mood swings are normal. Well, functional medicine begs to differ. They are not normal. In the sense that just because everybody is going through them, right, it does not make it normal. It is an issue. It means that your system is out of balance. And if you understand the reasons for those imbalances, if you bring the system back to balance, you can have very pain-free, cramp-free, periods without any mood swings, etc. As we said earlier, out of 10, almost 1% is struggling with thyroid, right? Once again, this is not an issue that can be fixed by taking a pill every day. Your T3 hormone in the morning on an empty stomach. This is much deeper than that, okay? And we will look at why a pill cannot solve this problem and what are the contributing factors to hypothyroidism in a few minutes. And the same way, people believe, that type 2 diabetes can only be managed. It cannot be reversed. This again is not true. Type 2 diabetes can definitely be reversed. And once again, we will, as we go through the webinar, we will look at what are the root causes of type 2 diabetes. and how it needs to be addressed. What are the things that we can do about it, and how we can actually reverse it. And believe me, we have done this for hundreds and hundreds of patients. Actually, we have been able to reverse their diabetes. We have been able to either reduce their medication drastically, and very often completely get them off medication. Yeah, so I guess now you can see the slides on your screen in a moment. Right, so type 2 diabetes can be managed. Definitely, this is a myth. Because we have been able to help hundreds of people reverse their type 2 diabetes. People who are struggling with weight gain, once again, they are led to believe that there is nothing that one can do about weight gain. The only thing that can be done is to eat less and exercise more if you want to lose weight. This is a big myth. In fact, any number of researches, studies have happened, and all research studies have proven this to be wrong. But we still persist with this in our society. In fact, our doctors even prescribe this to their patients to lose weight. It has never worked because it does not address the root causes. And once again, the last myth I would want to bring to your attention is genetics, because my mom had diabetes, thyroid, PCOS, or my parents had, so I'm sure to get it. No, it doesn't happen like that. In functional medicine, we say that genes might load the gun, but you have to decide whether you pull the trigger or not, and you pull the trigger or you don't pull based on your lifestyle choices. What you eat, what you don't eat, what do you do, whether you exercise or not, when do you sleep, how much you sleep, etc. Right? With all of these things, you decide whether you are going to pull the trigger or not. Now let's look at diabetes, right? In certain states like South India especially, right, it is being said that almost 25-30% of the population is diabetic, and a similar number is pre-diabetic, which means that actually total more than half the population is actually diabetic or pre-diabetic. Now, generally, if you have diabetes, three types of treatments are prescribed, three types of drugs are prescribed to you. The first one is to reduce insulin resistance. These are generally the what you call the metformin based drugs, right? The second is to increase the release or production of insulin from your pancreas. These are your, the glimpirides, the Amaryl, etc., which I'm sure those of you who have diabetes, you're already familiar with this. Right? And the third type of medicine that is prescribed is to force your kidneys to excrete more sugar. Okay. Now, please see, in all of these three fundamental treatments that are given for conventionally for diabetes, there is no kind of addressing of the root cause, right? The only focus is on somehow reducing the level of sugar in your blood without knowing the cause of high blood sugar. If the cause is not addressed and medications are chosen, not so wisely, it will definitely lead to a lifelong disease, right? And that is why people have started believing that diabetes cannot be reversed, because this is how it's being treated, right? And actually, it can lead to permanent damage to the pancreas and kidneys also. We know of various cases when these drugs to increase the insulin production were given for a period of time. After a certain amount of time, the cells of the pancreas that produce insulin actually get damaged, and then they cannot produce any insulin at all. And when that happens, you're gone. It's like, you actually turn into a type 1 diabetic. You have to be on insulin. There is no other option for you, right? So what is happening here is that, this is something that is well established now, that any research that comes out, right, something gets established with enough scientific research. It takes up to 20-25 years for this information to percolate down to your doctors. Unfortunate situation, right? So for 25 years, they can keep treating you with an incorrect method that has been proven wrong now by research, right? So now, what is the functional medicine approach? We will talk about it in detail, the solutions and all later, but let's just understand that diabetes, type 2 diabetes is not a sugar problem, it is more of a insulin problem. Okay? The problem is that your cells are resisting insulin and they're not allowing the insulin to complete its work, which is essentially to move the sugar from the bloodstream into the cells, right? As a result of this, the insulin levels rise in the body. The body produces more insulin, trying to get the sugar to enter the cells. So if your fasting insulin is more than 6, then you need to understand that you are already started moving towards diabetes, even though your fasting blood sugar might be normal, right? So sustained high level of insulin is a sign of insulin resistance, thereby raising blood sugar levels in the long term, right? So if you want to check if you are at a risk for diabetes or not, then you check fasting insulin levels. Fasting blood sugar level is not the important indicator. If your blood sugar levels are high, that means you are already diabetic. In fact, in functional medicine, we say that if your fasting blood sugar, even if it is coming up to 90, that means already a certain amount of insulin resistance has started building up in your body. Okay, so just a little bit of practical tips on how one can figure out where they are, in terms of diabetes. So as I said, we will look at the solutions in more detail later. Let's quickly move to hypothyroidism. Again, a very, very common problem, and I think 80 or 90% of hypothyroid cases are actually found in women, right? It's much more common in women than for men. Now, what are the reasons? Okay, nobody ever tells you the reasons for hypothyroidism, and I hope all of you understand that there is nothing happens without a reason, right? Whether it's in your body or anywhere in the world, in the existence, everything has to have a reason. So if my thyroid is not functioning well, there must be a reason behind it, right? The most common reason is lack of enough nutrients. What are the key nutrients for thyroid to function well? Iron, iodine, zinc, selenium, vitamins E, A, many of the B vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, proteins like tyrosine, omega-3 essential fats, fatty acids, and magnesium. Okay, these are the fundamental nutrients that your thyroid gland requires to produce sufficient quantity of the hormone. Also, some of these nutrients are required for the conversion of T4 into T3. T3 is the actual active form of the hormone, right? If any of these nutrients are not in your body in sufficient quantity, your thyroid function will suffer. Insulin resistance is another reason that leads to thyroid dysfunction. Okay. Once again, I won't go into the actual details of everything that how insulin resistance impacts thyroid function, but it is well established by scientific research that the moment you have insulin resistance, your thyroid functions will, can start getting impacted negatively. Autoimmunity is very common, right? Hashimoto's, it is a autoimmune form of thyroid problem. Also, Graves' disease. So essentially what is happening is that your own body's defense system, which is the immune system, is actually attacking and damaging the thyroid gland or the hormone that is produced by the gland, right? Another reason is chronic stress. Okay, a short period of stress is not harmful, but when we are stressed out chronically, and very often we don't even realize how stressed out we are, this actually causes thyroid gland to start producing less of the hormone, Not only that, whatever hormone is produced is not even available to the body because it gets either bound in a inactive state, or it gets converted into what is known as reverse T3. Reverse T3 again is inactive form, right? And also, exposure to toxins in the environment, heavy metals like cadmium, lead, mercury, aluminium, and other chemicals, even like chlorine, fluorine, bromine, okay, they can impact your thyroid function because they replace actually the iodine that is required. So there are many things like this that can impact your thyroid function, both the production of the hormone and even probably more importantly the conversion of T4 into T3. As I said, the gland actually produces largely T4, but it has to be converted later on into T3. So both of these processes can get impacted negatively when you have any of the above issues. Now, what are the factors that contribute to proper production of thyroid hormones, right? So, first of all, the first thing that we need to do is to ensure that there is sufficient nutrition available to the body, right? All the nutrients that we just discussed in the last slide. Very importantly, we need to work on factors that inhibit proper production of the thyroid hormones. So, which are stress, chronic infections can do that, trauma can do that. Trauma can be physical accidents or even mental emotional stress. Radiations can do it, certain medications can do it, right? Fluorides, chlorides, all of these chemicals can do. Other toxins, heavy metals can inhibit the production, and autoimmunity can do it. Now, equally important, as I said, is to ensure that whatever T4 is being produced by the gland gets converted into T3, right? So, two nutrients that are very important to increase the conversion are selenium and zinc. We must have enough of these in the body. And by the way, zinc, I mean, we work with hundreds of people, right? We see their blood reports and all the time. Believe me, I have hardly found a single person with a good level of zinc in their body. It is always low. And then there is no surprise, right, that the thyroid is not functioning properly for that person. Now, as I said, one also needs to be aware that there are certain factors that can increase the conversion of T4 into reverse T3, which makes the entire thyroid process ineffective in the body. So once again, these factors are stress, trauma, significant caloric restriction, like people who diet to lose weight. It's very harmful. Chronic inflammation, toxins, infections, liver and kidney dysfunction. Okay, very important, because liver and kidney are the two main organs in addition to your muscles which convert T4 into T3, and then this T3 is used all over the body, right? So how, if their health is not good, conversion will come down, and also certain medications can do this. So now, once you understand all of these factors, please think about this and answer this question. Can one pill that you take in the morning on an empty stomach, can it fix hypothyroidism? Yes, you can please answer in the chat so that I also know that all of you are listening, right? Otherwise, it's kind of just like a monologue. By now, I'm sure you will understand, right, that the solution has to be much more holistic in nature if it has to help you reverse your thyroid problem. Just a pill is like a band-aid. That's all it can do. Now, the last topic in terms of health issues we will look at is PCOS. So, on your screen right now are the main symptoms of PCOS, right? Most of the common symptoms that we know about are, hair growth, hair loss, or acne, pigmentation, dark spots on the skin, weight gain, and difficulty in losing it, irregular menstrual cycle, cysts in the ovaries, belly fat, pain in the pelvic area, depression, anxiety, all of these and many more, symptoms are connected to PCOS. PCOS is not just cyst in the ovary, it's actually so many things, right? So now what we need to understand is that if there are so many symptoms which are connected to one problem, it does not make sense to treat each symptom separately with a different medication for each, right? And, one pill for each ill approach. What we need to understand is how they are connected, right, with each other. You have to understand the health issues and how they are connected with each other, and then try to understand what are the root causes of these issues, and start addressing those. Just going on the pill is not the solution. It's again just like a band-aid fix. It doesn't solve the underlying issues, right? So to summarize, all the whether we just looked at three chronic ailments: diabetes, thyroid, and PCOS. If I have to summarize what are the root causes of all of these, okay, very very small amount of it is actually the genes, maybe 10-15%, that's all. The rest is all in our hands, right? What are these reasons? Issues with your digestive system, which can be in many ways, many forms. For example, it could be increased permeability in your gut lining, in the lining of the intestines. It can be an imbalance in the gut microbiome. We know that there are millions of bacteria in our gut. Most of them are good for us, some of them are not. So if the balance tilts in the favor of those that are not good for us, then it can create a lot of problems. And overall poor diet, crash fast food, and crash dieting, poor quality of water and not drinking enough water, dehydration is the root cause of many many issues. Nutritional deficiencies, right? Even if we are eating a so-called good home diet, we're not eating outside and all, very very common to find significant nutritional deficiencies in almost all chronic ailments today. And unless you address those, it's very difficult to reverse the issues. Toxic load, right? Heavy metals, plastics, chemicals, other things. Chronic stress is like the mother of all issues. Okay, if you have stress, all systems, all functions of the body will slow down, and body will become more vulnerable to health issues, chronic ailments. Excuse me. Oxidative stress. Once again, this is something which is increasing rapidly in today's society, which actually leads to damage of the cell membranes. And once the cell membranes are damaged, the cells cannot do their work properly. Leptin resistance, blue light toxicity. See, even right now, to conduct this session, I am actually sitting in front of, bright white lights, which actually, excuse me, which actually have a large component of blue wavelength of light. This is actually quite harmful for the body, right? So the point is that all of us spending so much time under artificial lighting, that is also disrupting our body's functions. Okay, the endocrine system, the hormonal balance is getting disrupted, and then it is leading to many other imbalances. And last but not the least is basically not enough physical activity in our lives, right? So if you look at all of these fundamental root causes of chronic ailments, you will realize that almost all of these are modifiable. They are in our hands, right? Without addressing any of these, if we just want to, have pills, take pills, and hope that my problem will be solved, well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. It doesn't happen like that. So with that long, monologue, so to say, I'll hand over the session to Dr. Ruhi to explain the solutions. What are the going a little deeper into many of these causes and how we can start reversing them.
Yeah. Thank you, Siddharth. And hello, everyone. I hope all of you can hear me clearly.
Yes,
If you
we can.
can, just drop a yes. You can, Siddharth?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, thanks, Siddharth, for setting the right context. And so that you can stop sharing the screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
How do you stop sharing the screen? How do I stop sharing? How do I stop sharing the screen? Yeah, say. Yeah, Ruby, I have stopped sharing. But again, like last time, we are only able to see the Skype logo. We are not able to see your uh, PPT.
I'll share. I have shared my screen.
Ruhi, I think this is some issue that we haven't been able to figure out how to solve. May I suggest that I only share the slides and you talk us through them?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that then. I hope everyone can see the slide again. Yeah, I think everyone is able to see the slides now.
Yeah, you just need to reposition.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, thanks Siddharth for setting the right context. And now that we know, you'll have to mute yourself, Siddharth. So Siddharth spoke about the most common chronic conditions and how the conventional approach handles it and is not able to really help in helping people come out of that condition, whether it be PCOS or type 2 diabetes or hypothyroidism. So, given that the human genome hasn't really changed, but what has really changed is our day-to-day choices, which we take consciously, unconsciously, and that's what's playing a major role in causing the diseases today, the chronic diseases. So, let's talk about the first most common cause, insulin resistance. Basically, insulin is a hormone which plays a very important role in metabolism, and it regulates the blood sugar levels. And how does it do that? So when you eat a meal, and it largely helps in the metabolism of carbohydrates. So if your meal is rich in refined carbs, so that's basically white rice, wheat. So insulin is released by the pancreas to convert, basically push that carb, which is converted into sugar, into the cells. Now, imagine if you are having a meal rich in carbs 3 times a day, the amount of work that insulin has to do. So, every time you eat a meal which is rich in carbs, the insulin has to, really work hard to push it into the cells. And if this process is repeated again and again, day after day, insulin basically just gives up. It is fed up, and and this is what is called insulin resistance. So the cells, the receptors on the cells are no longer responding to the insulin. It brings the glucose onto the cell receptor, but then it's not opening the gates to allow the glucose into the cell. As a result, there's a lot of glucose out there in the bloodstream. There's a lot of insulin as well, but then the receptors, the cells are not just responding to it. And this, as a result of which, your cells do not get any food and you are starving. You just had a heavy meal, but you are still starving, and you crave for food, and this food is largely, again, you're craving for sugar, you're craving for carb, and you just end up binge eating. So it's a vicious circle which goes on and on, and is a major cause of many chronic conditions today. Insulin resistance leads to PCOS, it leads to diabetes, it has an important role to play in hypothyroidism as well. So let's look into the next one. Now, how do you measure insulin resistance? You can do that by checking your fasting insulin levels. So basically, your fasting insulin levels, as Siddharth mentioned, should not be more than 6 if you are not insulin resistant. Okay, the slides are still changing. Okay. Now, stress. It's become such a common buzzword today. So, stress plays an important role in many, many ways. Now, imagine if you are chronically stressed all the time, you're thinking about something which is going to happen or which has happened in the past. So, basically, you are activating your sympathetic system, which is actually designed for emergencies or for situations for your body to handle adverse situations or prepare you for a fight or a flight. But if all the time you are in that situation, you are in the sympathetic dominance mode. Your body does not get the time to switch to parasympathetic mode, where it actually does the healing, it does the regeneration. So a state of chronic stress, so no matter whatever, you might be eating the best food on the earth, you may be doing everything right, but if you're not able to manage your stress, it is creating a habit in your body. It raises your cortisol levels. High cortisol levels in turn lead to high blood sugar levels. And often you may have seen that, when you are stressed, you just end up, you crave for things, right? So again, it's a vicious circle. So actually, the fight and flight mode was designed, for example, when you see a tiger or when you're really stressed, that's when the sympathetic mode gets should be activated. But today, what our body literally understand is how you're reacting to any situation. So even if a small fight with someone, or a bad experience with someone is creating a stressful situation for you, your body will just go into a sympathetic mode. And a small situation also becomes a big stressor for your body. And and that's where again the entire cascade of problem starts. So it's very important that we manage our daily stress and include techniques for stress management. So the next one, leptin is a hormone which is released by the fat cells. And so more the fat cells you have, the more leptin is secreted. And what's its job? So basically, it's responsible for regulating the appetite. So more the leptin, it basically gives the feedback to the brain that there is enough food, so you don't have to eat more. So as a result of which you do not get that trigger to eat more. So this is how it should actually, this feedback mechanism should actually work. Now what happens in leptin resistance? This feedback mechanism does not work the way it is supposed to be. So for example, an obese person has a lot of fat cells. So fat cells are secreting a lot of leptin. So ideally, then this leptin should give the feedback mechanism give the feedback mechanism that there is enough store of food and you do not need to eat more. But actually, because of leptin resistance, that feedback mechanism is not there, and an obese person, besides secreting a lot of leptin, is still craving for food. It still ends up eating a lot of food. So it's not just. Is there some echo? Okay. Siddharth, do you hear any echo from my side?
No, it's fine. I don't see anything.
So it's because of leptin resistance that an obese person can still despite having a lot of leptin, is still not able to, really, stop eating. And the circadian rhythm has a very important role to play here. So what happens is, if you are not in sync with the nature, not in sync with the rhythm of the nature, that's a major cause of leptin resistance. If you're not eating when the sun rises, if you're still eating when the sun is set, it's a contributor to leptin resistance, which in turn affects the metabolism. Now, a major exposure for all of us today is exposure to toxins. Now, what are these toxins? Largely, these toxins are heavy metals. And these heavy metals can be mercury, lead, cadmium, arsenic, aluminium. Now, how do we get these heavy metals? Mercury is, one source of mercury is seafood. The other is the dental implants. Lead can be from water. It can be from pesticides. Again, arsenic, cadmium, they can also be from pesticides and in the water. A major source of aluminium can be vaccines. So now what happens if our body's detox mechanism is not optimal, our detoxification pathways are not working the way they're designed to be, our body starts storing these heavy metals. And where do they go and get stored? They get stored along with the fat cells, leading to stubborn weight gain. They can go and disrupt the hormone receptors. So basically they go and bind on the receptor and do not allow the hormones to bind. So there are various, and again, bisphenol, again an industrial chemical, often used to make plastics. And given our house today has so much of plastics everywhere, whether it be in the kitchen or in the personal care, all these are disrupting our hormones, it's disrupting our metabolism. So it's very important that we start cleaning up our personal care products, our home cleaning products, our our kitchen, and make it as simple as possible. Switch to more organic food. Another major contributor to ill health is an imbalance in the gut health. So as someone said it right, what happens in the gut doesn't just remain there. So what happens in the gut is affecting everything across the body. 80% of our immune cells live in the GI tract, which basically means our immune system is modulated by the gut microbiome. So in our gut, we have a healthy balance of the good bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria, and when the good bacteria are thriving well, it keeps the pathogenic ones low and does not allow the bad ones to thrive. But because of our choices, be it the choice of food we are eating, the junk food, the refined food, stresses, all these contribute to disrupting of the gut microbiome. It leads to a leaky gut. It leads to damage to the villi of the GI lining. As a result of which, what's happening in the gut basically becomes a systemic inflammation. And if there are infections in the gut, be it fungal infection, bacterial infection, parasitic infection, all these can also down-regulate the receptors, and these can be insulin receptors, these can be hormonal receptors, these can be the thyroid receptors. So it's very important to identify infections and treat them if we really want to have a good health. Blue light toxicity, not commonly spoken about, but it's a major contributor to chronic diseases, especially at work where we are exposed to so much of LEDs. At home when we are back till 11, 12, most most of them today are exposed to so much of bright light. Our body is designed to be in sync with nature, where during the day our exposure should be to the natural light, which is from the sun, while in the evening it should be to minimal light. If this is not what we are giving our body, we start having sleep issues. We start, having insulin resistance. We start facing leptin resistance. So blue light toxicity basically damages the mitochondria, which is the major powerhouse of a cell. Every cellular function is dependent on mitochondria. So if you are not getting enough light, enough natural light, if you're exposing yourself to too much of bright light before your sleep, it is basically affecting the melatonin secretion, and as a result, you're just struggling with sleep. And lack of sleep again impairs the recovery, impairs the healing process, impairs the regeneration process of the body. So blue light toxicity leading to lack of sleep, and yeah. So it's again a vicious cycle. You're exposing yourself to a lot of unhealthy lights, and this in turn is affecting your metabolism, affecting your sleep. So it's very important that we get enough sun during the day, move your work desk towards the window where you have enough natural light. And while it's in the evening, you have to be in dim light. And if you have to use the light, it's good to switch to the old style filament bulbs. So as I spoke about how mitochondria is damaged, and depending on which part of the body it is, the mitochondria number is distributed. So the larger we have highest number in the heart, in the liver, because they are constantly involved in so many functions. And all mitochondrial function can be damaged by infections, can be damaged by toxins, blue light. If you're not drinking good quality water, it can affect nutritional imbalances, can affect it, and so on. So you can just imagine your body's mitochondria. The charge of the mitochondria is only sunlight. So if you're not getting enough sun, you're basically leading your body to poor mitochondrial health. Often we see that we hear that people say we are drinking enough water, but when we actually check their blood work, it clearly there are clear signs of dehydration. So drinking enough is actually not enough. Drinking right is what actually matters. So the quality of water that you drink is very, very important. So if it's not structured, if it's not because what we get today from RO is basically acidic water, and it's dead water, which does no good to our body. So the water has to be structured. And if the water is not structured, it does not hydrate your cells, and chronic dehydration can be related to headaches. It's related to autoimmune conditions. It's connected with poor gut health. So what we do now, given that there's so many root causes which can lead to ill health. So in functional medicine, we look at the body as a whole. No single disease can be attributed to one part of the body or one organ. It's anything which is happening in the gut cannot be seen in isolation. So we look at the body as a whole, and to understand the symptoms, we connect them to the root causes. So unless you attack the root cause, the problem cannot be fixed. And if we really want to start reversing the condition, we have to attack the root cause. So functional medicine is an approach where we understand why a symptom is there and fix them with the root cause approach and help a person become healthy and vibrant again. So it's not just about treating the symptoms, it's about treating the whole body. And how do we do that? It's with the help of a very personalized approach. And each individual is different. Biochemically, they are different. So we'll have to understand what is the biochemical composition of that person. And this we understand with the help of thorough investigation. where we look at infections, we look at the nutrition, we look at inflammation, heavy metals, we look at the gut health, we look at the various toxins, and take a very detailed sign and symptom history so that we can connect the dots. With the help of investigation, with the help of the signs and symptoms, we connect all these dots and do a root cause analysis. And then a personalized treatment approach is made, which addresses the nutritional imbalances, it addresses the infection, addresses dehydration, toxins, organ function, insulin resistance, dysbiosis, and all this is done with the help of the right kind of food. Whatever you feed your body should only help in healing of the body, should not add to further inflammation. We work on the lifestyle changes, so everything that as an individual you can change around you and make the environment conducive for your healing. And last but not the least, using certain nutraceuticals. So today, food alone cannot give us all the nutrition, cannot take care of all the nutrition demand of our body to support for detoxification, to support for good gut health, etc. So that's where we take the support of the nutraceuticals. And how do you know that you're healing? So as you start implementing a personalized treatment plan which is made for you, you will start seeing your energy levels getting better. You will start, if you've been having chronic headaches, they will start getting better. Your sleep gets better, which in turn helps in your healing. If you've been having irregular periods, they start getting regular, your skin quality improves, your hair quality improves. You start feeling in tune with your body. So there's no longer that feeling that you're dragging your body. Your body starts feeling lighter. Your cravings are reduced, your gut health is better, there's no bloating, your bowel movements are better. Overall, you look less puffy, you look less inflamed. So these are just few signs and symptoms, that one starts seeing when you start making the right changes for your body. So that's what me and Siddharth, we do at Hormone Reset. So we help people reverse their chronic conditions, and to do this, we have a 12-week hormone reset program, which is exclusive for women, and here we take care of autoimmune conditions, metabolic dysfunctions, hormone imbalances, hypothyroidism, and many more. And it's a beautiful program designed where we empower the participants, give out a lot of information, and at the same time also help them implement a personalized treatment plan for them. And in 3 months, we have seen amazing results. We have seen autoimmunity getting better. We have seen very good improvement in the gut health. We have seen, people reducing their HbA1c levels drastically. Those who have been struggling to lose weight have eventually lost weight. Skin and hair getting so much better. So for men, we also have a one-to-one subscription-based programs which runs for 3 months, and there is entire hand-holding for them during those 3 months. So if you would like to know more, you can WhatsApp us on this number. Check out more details on our website, and we'll be happy to connect with you. So if you have any questions, please post them in the chat.
If there are no more questions, it's actually quite late. We have gone a little over time. So if there are no questions, we can close the session now. So thanks a lot to everyone for their wonderful participation. And there will be more such sessions that we'll be conducting. In fact, there is a plan to conduct them regularly. So please watch out for the information, for the messages notifying you about the upcoming sessions. We hope to connect with you once again very soon. Thank you and have a wonderful time.